Alright, so I'm going to talk about the movie El Camino that came out on Netflix today, technically. It aired in a few theaters, but of course nowhere around small towns where I live. I would have loved to see this movie in the theater, though, and I kind of wish it had a theatrical release, but it was also kind of nice just waking up this morning and being able to lay in my bed without taking a shower and watch the movie. And in a way, I felt kind of dirty and disgusting, just like Jesse Pinkman is in most of this movie. So, if you guys don't know, I'm a huge fan of Breaking Bad, but who isn't that's actually seen the show? I mean, it's one of the most popular shows that has ever existed in North America and beyond, and there was even like a Spanish version of the show that existed. What's that called? I don't know. But it existed, and so Breaking Bad has captivated and enthralled audiences ever since its premiere, which was 11 years ago now, was season 1 that it premiered, and I of course didn't catch on to it until it was already in its last season. I was a late bloomer, but hey, if you saw El Camino or heard about it coming out and you've never seen Breaking Bad, you're an even later bloomer than me, and that's okay because it'll always be there to be enjoyed. Anyways, I'm going to talk about El Camino. Now, I'm going to try not to get into spoilers here, but there's not really a ton to spoil about this movie because anything that would be considered a spoiler you probably already know going in. Again, I guess I won't say anything, but there's not a lot to spoil in this movie. It's pretty straightforward and it's pretty much what you think it is. Let's start with the positives, I guess, is what I would say is this movie, again, is written and directed by Vince Gilligan, who, of course, is the showrunner, creator of the show Breaking Bad, so nobody understands the Breaking Bad universe better than he does, and that clearly shows in this movie because it is, once again, just like the show, it is directed fantastically, the script is really, really good, it's tight, the dialogue is tight, Jesse Pinkman feels like Jesse Pinkman, it feels like where the show left off, for the most part, for half the movie. I'll get to that in a second, but it just feels, it feels just like Breaking Bad. Like, if you are worried about this movie feeling different because it's a movie, or you're worrying that it won't give you that same Breaking Bad vibe, no. Rest assured that this movie feels in tone. The score, David Porter, I think is the composer. He returns from the show, so you got the same score. The score in this movie is brilliant, by the way. It's absolutely fantastic, as it was in the series. And so you have that going for it. You have Vince Gilligan behind the camera, and you have Jesse Pinkman front and center this entire movie. And if you're a big Jesse Pinkman fan, that's going to be really good for you. And actually, that's what I want to get into next. But real quick, let me just finish up saying that if you're worried, again, about this not feeling like Breaking Bad because it's a movie, because it's different, you can rest assured that it will be, because this, I felt like I was watching an episode of Breaking Bad. That's not a negative towards the movie, because it is a film, so maybe a film should feel different than a TV series. For me, it really didn't. For me, it felt like just watching Breaking Bad episodes, but I don't consider that a negative, because considering this is a Breaking Bad, sequel, spin-off, continuation, epilogue, whatever you want to call it, related directly to the Breaking Bad series, I wanted it to feel like Breaking Bad. I didn't want it to feel like something different because that's not what this universe is. It's not what it set me up to immerse myself in, to feel and believe. And so the fact that it does feel like a Breaking Bad episode that's 2 hours long, I was okay with that. Now, some might see that as a negative, and I can completely understand why, but for me, I'm glad it felt like the series. So, like I said, Jesse Pinkman is front and center this entire film, and this is a Jesse Pinkman movie, completely, 100%, no doubt about it, no argument, no questioning. This is a Jesse Pinkman movie. So, yes, I just got done saying it's a Breaking Bad movie, and it feels like the Breaking Bad series, but it feels like a Breaking Bad episode that is 100% on Jesse the entire time. This is Jesse's movie. This is all about Jesse Pinkman. This does not follow up with anything about any other characters. This is 100% Jesse's movie. And whether you consider that a positive or negative really probably depends on how you feel about the character. I myself, now I've watched Breaking Bad through the complete series. I watched it 3 times. And I had a very different experience watching it all 3 times. Whereas The first season, I really did like Jesse. I connected with his character, and I thought, obviously, no matter whether you like or dislike Jesse, Aaron Paul, of course, is an amazing actor, and it shows in both the series and this movie, so that's out of the question. We don't need to talk about that. But as far as the character himself of Jesse Pinkman is concerned, I really liked him the first time I watched Breaking Bad, but upon my 2 other viewings, one I watched with somebody else through and another time by myself, I started to like Jesse less and less every time I watched the series, because I started to see, knowing the overall picture of everything that happens, how much Jesse really does fuck up and ruin things almost all of the time. And he definitely did not deserve the things that he went through at the end of this series and things that are shown in this movie. He definitely did not deserve the extent of punishment that he got from that. That was completely unjust and horrible, and like the darkest pits of humanity at play here. But as far as, you know, getting them into trouble and screwing things up, and you know, pretty much the entire like end of the series is ruined. Like, it's not, the series isn't ruined, but the lives of the characters in the series are ruined because Jesse decides to do one thing as opposed to the other, and it just I just liked his character less and less. So I was a little worried about, you know, with this movie, like how much sympathy am I supposed to have for Jesse going forward. But obviously, like I said, the things that happen to him at the end of the series are, you know, that shouldn't happen to anybody ever, no matter how big of a screw up they are. Like, that's just absolutely unheard of, you know, unthinkable. And so you relate to Jesse on that level, and you just want to see him just get away. Like, just like, you know, like, you screwed up a bunch in the show, in the series, you made me angry a lot, you know, but I kind of have that little bit, kind of like how Walt felt in the series, right? Like, you notice this character is, you know, not what you want him to be, but he is his own person. At the end of the day, he does have a good heart, and he does have good intentions, so I just want to see you be able to do what you want to do, man. Just go do it. Away from me, but just go do it. And that's what I wanted for Jesse in this movie. I just wanted to see him get out of this goddamn town and just be able to breathe. Just go, just do your thing, man. Just get out of here. Find a way. But what I will say also is, by the end of this film, and no spoilers here, but you might be asking, was this film necessary? Did you need this to really give you a conclusion of Breaking Bad? Like, were you left hanging so much with Jesse's fate that this movie was absolutely necessary, and with this movie, it pulls things together so much that you feel a more satisfying conclusion than the final episode of Breaking Bad? For me, that's a no. For me, this movie was definitely not necessary. And from where it ends, like, spoilers, Jesse's in a good, okay place, I guess. It really doesn't change that much from where I thought he may end up anyways, from the end of Breaking Bad. Like, watching the end of that series, I kind of thought about Jesse's options and what he could do and where he would wind up, and it really kind of ends up in the same place as far as I'm concerned, as far as I thought. Jesse basically has one goal in this movie, and that's to get out of town. And to do that, he requires a couple of different things. He needs to do this, and get this handled, and then he's able to do what he wants. And so that's kind of the setup that we go through as far as modern day. But about half of this movie takes place in flashbacks. And I thought that this would happen. I was already thinking this before I watched this movie, that a lot of things were going to be in flashbacks, because guess what? A lot of the great characters from Breaking Bad that we know and love are dead now. So we can't have them in the movie. We can't bring the actors back. We can't have a nice reunion unless we do some flashbacks, because these characters are dead. And so there's a lot of flashbacks with that. There's also flashbacks with Jesse being imprisoned by the neo-Nazis, and with Todd, the character Todd, that of course was eerily close to Jesse, like feeling like they had a friendship even though he was clearly enslaving and torturing him. So he had this kind of weird dynamic with him. that he was like really trying to be buddy with Jesse, which always gave me like really creepy vibes. Meanwhile, he would be able to just kill people without a second thought and not have to, not have any kind of remorse or empathy or sympathy about it, which is the exact opposite of Jesse, because Jesse does a lot of like criminal activity, but he's not a murderer. Obviously he does wind up murdering people, but that's not, he feels like for people. Like he does have a heart at the end of the day. And so with the Todd character, you get that weird contrast because they're around the same age and he's being buddy with him, but he's forcing him to do these things that Jesse feels really adamantly against, and he's just kind of stuck doing it. Now, the flashbacks, like I said, they were directed great, they were acted great, everything about it was great. But since we already got our kind of cathartic ending with Jesse freeing himself at the end of Breaking Bad in the final episode, we don't get that kind of cathartic feeling with the Todd character. So we see a lot of scenes happening where Todd is forcing Jesse to do stuff that he doesn't want to do, and it's really hard. And there's a gut-wrenching scene where Jesse has maybe an opportunity to escape, but that if he even tries to and it doesn't work, then they're gonna hurt Brock, the child. So he chooses not to, and it's a really, really heartbreaking scene, and I loved it, but I really wish it would have been in the series instead, so we would have got that cathartic ending to it once Jesse finally gets his revenge against Todd in the final episode. But since we already got that, the scene is there, and then it cuts to other things, and I could see that a lot of that was just to show Jesse's PTSD and what he went through and how much he, deserves to get out of here and get away from it all because of that. And like I said, I enjoyed the scene, and I enjoyed everything that was happening with it. But I felt like because of where this movie takes place in present time, we didn't really get a resolution with it, and so it kind of feels slightly out of place. Again, this is just in my opinion. A lot of that comes into play with the flashbacks as well, because of course I enjoyed seeing these characters again in the flashbacks, but again, since the movie's not taking place in present time, it only adds so much context to what's going on. It's really cool to see the actors back, it's really cool to see the characters interacting again, it makes you feel nostalgic, but as far as needing it to happen, I don't think we really needed it. So I don't think the movie really gives us anything that we wouldn't have come to on our own conclusions. It gives us some great scenes, some dramatic moments, gives us, what's going on in the mind of Jesse Pinkman in the here and now. Here and now, it technically takes place directly after the series, which is, it's been 6 years, so obviously the characters look a little different, might have gained a little weight, but hey, that's okay. Anyways, what I'm trying to say, it's going to sound like I'm hating on the movie, and I'm not. I'm really not, because I definitely enjoyed this film. I had a great time watching it. It felt like Breaking Bad to me, which is very, very cool to get back into that universe and just see things that are going on. But, like I said, I don't feel the movie was really necessary, and I feel like the series, where it ends, really is a perfect and the best ending for Breaking Bad is the final episode of Breaking Bad. This is a nice little, if you're a big fan of Jesse Pinkman, to give you a little more of a resolution, a little more of an epilogue. But like I said, it is kind of unnecessary. But I still enjoyed the movie. So let me know what you guys think. Comment down below what you thought of El Camino, and I guess what you think of Breaking Bad in general. I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts, because like I said, it is probably the best show that I've ever watched in my life. So let me know down below your thoughts. Comment if you want to, subscribe if you want to, give the little thumbs up, whatever you want to do. Normal YouTuber spiel there. Thank you for watching.